Hey, we're so glad you found us. This is a Juicy Pear podcast with Shawn and Wendy. I'm your host, Wendy.
And I'm your host, Shawn.
And we want to share with you some storytelling that leaves you feeling entertained, inspired, and puts a smile on your face.
And we are truly hoping to be able to talk about relatable topics, especially in this world of craziness.
So sit back and enjoy the conversation. Stay tuned. Hey, Shawn, how you doing?
Good, Wendy. Happy Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
Here we are, already in Thanksgiving weekend for 2020. So we're coming so close to Christmas and the New Year.
I don't know. Thanksgiving already seems like it was a long time ago. I don't know why. It just feels that way. I ate a lot. I know that much.
What did you do for Thanksgiving?
I just made a great big meal. It was the first year that my mother-in-law is not with us, and she always came over every Thanksgiving, always came over. And she made green bean casserole, and she made a really good stuffing, and so I made those dishes, and my kids liked them, but however, she made this Jell-O dish, but I didn't quite get the Jell-O dish the way she made it, but that's okay. But yeah, it was bittersweet. It was great. We made a lot of great food. But yeah, it was a little, we could tell that something was not
missing.
the same. Yeah. How about you?
It's very sentimental then.
It is.
So for Thanksgiving, I made a nice turkey and took it to my parents' house. And for those that don't know, my dear parents care for my elderly grandmother. She's 91, and so they care for her full time with a lot of family help in between. And so I took the turkey over for a nighttime dinner, and my brother and his family came up from where they live.
Nice.
And so we celebrated together. And then later on, we ended up watching the movie White Christmas with Bing Crosby. So that's always
I've never
a nice
seen
little
that one.
movie.
That's the one Christmas movie I have not seen. Is it good?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Highly recommend it.
All right. Well, I'll have
Nice
to
little
watch it.
musical.
I'll have to watch it.
You know me, I love musicals.
Yes. Well, I don't know. I'm feeling kind of weird because I had a weird thing happen about an hour ago when on my way to the mall, and it's just like, I'm trying to, keep balance and stuff with it, but it was just one of those things. I almost got in a major car accident, and this guy in a big old truck pulled right out in front of me, and just out of nowhere, I was just like bebopping around, in my own world. I just got some hand soaps from Bath and Body Works. Excited that I got the sale. It was like $3 today. Anyway, so I'm just on my way home, and then just boom, just out of nowhere, and I had nowhere else to go. It was either go into this other lane and, or get hit. So I quick swerved in the other lane, and my heart because I didn't know if anybody was coming. I had no time. So I swerved into that lane. He swerved. I mean, it was just like, oh my gosh. And I honked my horn, whatever, and then he just bebops away. And it's like, wow, I've been in my fair share of car accidents, I have to say, and near misses.
Oh, you have?
I have. And my relatives, a good amount of them have died from car accidents.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm glad we said a prayer before our episode today, because I always feel like, oh man, I'm I have 9 lives with that, and I missed again. I got out of it okay. I don't know how I didn't hit him. I mean, he pulled right out in front of me. I do have pretty good reflexes, I must say. I do. It was good that I swerved, or else who knows.
Yeah, I'm very thankful that there was no bad weather. Like our Michigan roads get so icy and slick.
I know, and it was. It's
whole lot
actually
more.
Yeah, it was actually perfect weather. It's sunny outside. The roads
it's
are
nice
great
weather today.
Yeah, so that kind of, out of the blue like that, but I guess that's life, right? That kind of stuff happens, but still.
Scary things can happen constantly. I'm glad you're safe.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're okay, Wendy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, we want to talk about something that, really scary that happened to you.
Scary things that can happen in
this
life,
year,
for sure.
2020. It ended up okay, but I'd like you to tell it. It was quite something that happened to you.
So with Wendy talking about her near accident today and how things can happen quickly, happen fast when you least expect it, back on February 9th of 2020 here, something that was very scary that I never in my wildest dreams expected to happen did, and that was on the 9th of February, I experienced a brain aneurysm, and it was a Monday evening that I remember feeling a very washed over feeling go across my head, and I was going to get up to let the dog out, but I just could not get up out of bed, and I felt this washing wave feeling going across my brain and my head.
Well, we should back up a bit because
Okay.
last I saw you, I think it was 6 weeks before we love to dance, and that was I think it was the ugly sweater party or whatever.
Yep.
And you were fine. You were
Doing fine.
dancing.
New Year's was fine.
Yeah. And so, did you have any headaches or anything like that, or did you feel off in any way, or did you have any sort of signal that I'm not feeling right, or you just
None at all. Even the weekend before the aneurysm occurred, I was at a mother-daughter retreat up north at Cran Hill Ranch.
Oh, I didn't.
And had a great weekend that whole weekend. Came home on Sunday. The kids all went to school on Monday, and it was by Monday night. I was by myself. The kids were with their dad, and I experienced this wave feeling, and that set in a headache that I thought I had a migraine. And I ended up getting up sometime in the middle of the night to realize that I had like thrown up everywhere.
Okay.
So I thought I had the flu
Oh my gosh, that is so scary. And you were by yourself?
by myself.
Oh, see,
my
I was out of town at the time. I was actually in Nashville with a friend, and our mutual friend Joy had texted me and said, "Hey, did you know that Shawn's in the hospital?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, no, I had no idea. She has a bad headache and she's in the hospital." And I thought, "Oh, that's not good. That's more than a headache, something." So
I lived for many days from the 9th to the 14th
okay, so
with a headache and throwing
it started on the 9th.
Right.
And you were throwing up, and you didn't go in, or you just thought maybe you had the flu.
Right.
Okay.
I thought I had the flu. I thought I had a migraine.
Okay.
That was all the signs and symptoms.
So do you get migraines usually?
Yeah, once a month.
So that's not uncommon.
It wasn't uncommon, and it wasn't uncommon that the little preschool at my work, they had the flu going through them. You know, everybody was kind of sharing a cold
Okay.
or sharing a sickness. So I thought I just probably caught something that they had.
Okay.
But so my ex-husband watched over me for the week, kept making sure that I was alive still, and I was canceling out work, canceling out all activities that I had planned. I was teaching fitness classes, and I was trying to get subs to come in for fitness classes, and I couldn't make it to rehearsals that I was doing. And it wasn't until finally Thursday of that week, I was taken to my normal doctor, who thought about maybe doing a CAT scan, but didn't. Instead, they sent me home with some anti-nausea meds.
Wait a minute. They sent you home. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
I was sent home. Still, no one knows it's a brain aneurysm yet.
Okay.
And then Friday, the 14th of February, my ex still said, "Enough is enough. You're still super sick."
So this was 5 days later. So 5 days of this chaos swirling around you.
Yep.
Not sure what's going on. You're in and out of the hospital or whatever. Doctors. They're telling you, oh yeah, you've got a headache. Here's some medicine.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then, so by Friday, the 14th, I was taken to Zeeland Community Hospital, and where the ER doc there happened to be a church friend that I have. And when she saw me, she was super, super surprised that I was there. And when I told her the symptoms, and I was in and out of sleeping, like I would fall asleep and wake back up and go back to sleep, wake back up. She finally had told us, "Enough is enough. Let's get you a CAT scan."
Yeah. Now, wait a minute. When you were like, is this during the day? You
Yeah.
were like in and out of sleep. Okay, so that right there, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Yep.
Usually people who bump their head or, have a concussion, they start doing that.
Yes.
But you probably thought, oh, maybe I have the flu.
I still blame the
you
flu.
still think maybe you had the flu at this point. Okay.
Yep.
So somebody at the hospital that you knew from your church said,
my
hey,
doctor.
We need to look into this a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So I think you were probably meant to meet her at that time.
I think so too. Absolutely.
So what did she say?
I think so many things that happened during this whole entire time were like meant to be things.
Yeah.
So the CAT scan that they sent me into immediately showed that I had a ruptured brain aneurysm behind the left side of my neck, the back of my head, that a vessel had burst, and a typical thing like that typically kills somebody on the spot.
Wow.
So she immediately come into our ER room that I was sitting in, and she said, "You have to go to Butterworth by ambulance." And my ex wanted to drive me instead, because that's such a typical thing. How about not an ambulance? It'll cost too much.
Yeah.
It's too much hassle. Let's go by car.
Right.
But she's like, no, she has to go by ambulance. I can barely remember the ambulance ride. It was February, so it was cold here in Michigan. And I can vaguely remember the ambulance ride. I was in and out of consciousness. And then
Oh, gosh.
I vaguely can remember the cold weather leaving the ambulance to get inside of Butterworth. And then I positively don't have much memory until I really woke up February 17th or 18th.
Oh, gosh. So there was like 3 days there that you were kind
I was
of
down.
unconscious.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was down. I was sleeping most of the time, I understand.
So what did they do during those 3 days? What did they do?
I went in
you?
for a lot of procedures that they had to go and put coils.
Yeah, I'm very curious. How did they fix it? I guess I
Yeah.
want to say.
So the
How did-
procedure, they had to go through my thigh, up through my body, to my head, through the vessels.
Wow.
And they put coils that clamped off the burst vessel.
Okay.
So it's like looking at a slinky,
Okay.
but the slinky is minuscule. And they do
Let me
it.
see the back, but you don't have any scars, no,
No, 'cause
nothing. It was
the
all
they
inside.
went through my
Yep,
thigh to do
yep,
it.
you didn't have it. Because when I first
know.
saw you at the hospital, I was kind of expecting, oh, she's, maybe going to have a shaved part of your head or whatever.
Right.
I didn't know.
If those procedures had not worked, they would have sent me in for more of a brain surgery and had to shave my head to get into and open up my head. So that's why the prayers that were being prayed were to not have that happen. That I was just strictly
Right.
have just the coils go around my vessel to take off or to block off the bleeding.
Yeah.
And if I can, there's a lot of puzzle pieces that I have to always put together because I'm trying to remember all that happened. But I know that they had to keep my blood pressure really, really high because that helps to keep the vessels open,
Okay.
to keep the blood flowing through, if I say that right. I had many, many incisions. I had a port put in my upper arm. The port was what was helping with pain meds.
Okay.
So this port was always stuck up here in my arm.
Were you in a lot of pain? I mean, was your
Headache.
head like
Headache
worse
pain.
than a headache? Probably.
Yeah.
Just like pounding.
It was always a headache.
Yeah.
For days and days and days.
So I want to know, what exactly is a brain aneurysm? In my understanding, isn't it like a blood clot, right? That just can't get through the whatever, and it just causes your vessel to burst? I don't know. Okay. That's what I think it's from a blood clot, and it does happen. I mean, you are so lucky, Shawn, because the odds are people don't make it from that.
Yeah, I am not the poster child of an aneurysm either, because I got asked the questions, do you smoke? Are you obese? I got asked all these
Yeah.
questions, and I said it was always no, 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 and so they cannot answer how I got it.
Is
That
it caused from stress? Or they
I
probably
don't
don't know.
Yeah, I had no idea at all how it occurred.
So it can happen to
It
anybody.
could happen
at
to
any
anybody.
time.
It could happen to anybody at any time.
Oh gosh.
So
Well, I don't know. I when I heard the news, I was kind of in shock because I just could not believe it. Because you're very active, very vibrant. You're very energetic, very popular. I mean, at the hospital, you had so many, well-wishers and people that were really worried about you. We were worried, and but I remember when we came to see you, you were very coherent. It was like
that was the second
okay.
weekend that I was there.
Yeah.
Which was like the 21st.
How long were you in there altogether?
I was there for 3 straight weeks on bed rest.
Okay.
So for 3 weeks, I did not move. For a week and a half in, I ended up getting an infection in my leg.
Oh.
The incision site where my thigh was, there was a nicked, I guess it was a nicked artery or vessel, but that caused a blood clot. That caused a really hardening of my thigh.
Oh no.
And so then I was put on new meds or more meds to clear up that
Okay.
clot and have
Okay.
it break apart. And I ended up being allergic to one of those meds because eventually I started getting heated and flushed and had an
no.
allergy to one of those meds they were giving me.
That's the last thing you needed?
Yep. And I had to continue to be on bed rest. And to know me to be on bed rest is super hard because
Yeah.
I like to be active and walk and
So they encouraged you not to move or anything.
right. I could not
mean,
move my legs.
Couldn't they even because when I was in the hospital, they always said, you got to move your legs. You don't want to get blood clots.
Right.
So was there someone in there trying to move your legs or no?
No,
guess
I could not get up to walk.
Okay.
I had to use bedpans. I had to, yeah, it was all the stuff that you don't like to do at a hospital.
Oh, that'd be really
I-
hard just to sit there.
I would have to get off the edge of my bed
Yeah.
between my mother and some of the nurses, maybe friends too.
Was it hard to walk? I mean, was it hard to even sit up? What was that
No,
like?
it wasn't hard to sit up.
What about
That's all I could do.
What about eating? Like, what was your first memory of what you ate when you came out of it? Like, were you hungry?
Yeah, they wanted me to eat high in carb, high in salt foods. That they wanted me to eat that.
Yeah.
So I was dumbstruck by that because I love to have a good salad, a piece of chicken, and
Yeah.
here they were telling me you have to have, please eat, drink or eat tomato soup, grilled cheese sandwiches.
We need to
a
fatten you up and sweeten you up.
And this was like I was like, no, this is the last thing that I do in life. But they wanted me to eat higher in salty foods to help with all the healing of it. So
Okay.
I had this freedom.
Salt heals? I didn't know.
I had this freedom to eat what I wanted, even though I was like, when I first came in here, all I want is salads. And
Yeah.
before I arrived to the hospital, I was on a regimen of eating right, and
Yeah.
being in the hospital threw that all out the door. But,
So you were there for like 3 weeks.
for 3 weeks. I finally moved out of the ICU room itself March 2nd, I think it was.
Okay.
I went into a regular room, and that's where they finally let me start walking. And then I took off down the hallways at Butterworth, and then I was not turning back. And when I got to some stairwells at the hospital, too, the nurse, my ex, they were all there watching and watching me literally try to run around the hospital. They said, you have to walk up and down the steps now. And so I walked up and down the steps, did that successfully. I asked them, can I do it again? Mm-hmm. And the nurse was taken aback that I wanted to walk the steps one more time because I wasn't going to give up because I wanted to go home so badly.
Did you have pent-up energy too? Or no?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of
Okay.
course.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to have a lot of patience.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find a lot of peace because you are sort of stuck.
Yeah. Were you frustrated? Were you okay? So when you came out of it, did you have to have someone tell you what happened, or did you
Yes.
kind of know, like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. So someone had to tell you
Very much
what
so.
happened to you, and what did you think at that moment? I mean, were you worried, like, oh my gosh, I could have brain damage, or I don't know?
I didn't comprehend that part. People told me that I should have died and that I was a miracle. I heard the word miracle a lot. Mm-hmm. And I was dumbfounded. Like, what does that mean? What does a miracle mean? I only had a headache, so I didn't have a cast on to know that I was injured.
Yeah, so what was your last
I didn't
memory before you were, like, out? Like, what was the last thing you remember?
Pretty much leaving the ambulance and going inside Butterworth, and it was cold.
And then that's your
That's all I
last-
can
that's it.
remember.
Okay.
And I was out for like 3 days straight. From what people said, I came around and I would kind of jibber jabber and talk.
Yeah.
My one friend said that I would wake up and say to her, I love Jesus.
Oh.
Which I'm glad I said that.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a lot of jibber jabber and I wasn't saying much. It was dark in my room, I was told, because the light hurt.
Yeah.
So a lot of things. My mom did take a few pictures of me in the hospital bed, and my brother was hovering over me, like stroking my hair. So that was pretty sentimental that my brother was there.
Yeah.
He's a good man, so he was definitely taking care of me. And then my son, if I understand the story goes, my son was in the room with me, kind of holding vigil over, watching over, and if I got the story straight, I sat up in bed and asked him how his day was, like if he'd had a good day at school, which sent him in for a loop because I hadn't talked in a number of days. And he ran out to the waiting room where a bunch of people were sitting and waiting, and he had told his father, you need to come quick, it's Mom. Mm-hmm. And if I understand how the story goes, my ex had thought that maybe I had died in those moments because my son was
he came running in and,
hysterical,
overwhelmed a little.
Yep,
Okay.
and was
Yep.
crying. And actually, it was a flip of that AJ told his dad that I actually woke up and was speaking.
And he was excited.
And he was excited
Aw.
that I had not died. Yeah, the nurses and the doctors on that ICU floor said that I was one of the only people that was talking on the floor, that a typical brain aneurysm patient is mostly in a vegetable state.
Yeah.
I was mostly in a vegetable state. And,
So
yeah, and they can't hear, they can't talk. They
Yeah.
had stroke symptoms.
So in those 3 days, did they think that was there a possibility that you would not make it? I mean, was that a possibility?
Yes, there was always a possibility.
Okay.
There was always that possibility.
Like, is there a second, like, round or whatever that can happen once that happens? I guess
Because
your vessels might be compromised
right.
or vulnerable.
They were
or whatnot?
watching the
Okay.
vessels like a hawk to make sure the coils were doing their job, and make sure that the vessel was closing up, or that at least the blood was getting through
Yeah.
appropriately. So yeah, it was always a touch and go thing. They were always watching me like a hawk.
Gosh. Well, I am.
Every morning I had to have an ultrasound, 5 a.m. These ultrasound techs would come in every single morning and have to do ultrasounds on my brain and my head and the back of my neck. And that was to determine what the vessels looked like for the day.
Okay.
And then docs would arrive 4 to 5 hours later and tell me the results of what the ultrasound said.
Okay.
And just little by little by little, the healing was beginning.
Yeah, it's a lot of process.
By little by little. Yes.
Was there anything at the hospital that you liked as far as food?
As far as food?
Yeah.
No.
No. Did they?
It wasn't bad food, but it wasn't like an awesome steak.
Probably
There was
lots of pudding. Pudding
there was
jello.
nothing like that.
Well, I am so glad you made it through, Shawn. It's a blessing. It's a blessing that you're here.
I'm thankful for all the care that I got.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just so thankful for an ex-husband that watched over me and got me to where I had to be in the hospital.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for my parents, my brother, my sister-in-law, my cousins, my friends.
Yes. And you have a lot of friends. I mean, I remember going on that Facebook live feed or whatever, and they had you on there and you were praying.
Yep.
Shawn is a very good, she loves to pray. She prays all the time. And it was just so cute. I remember you laying in bed and you had like your hands like this and you were like, thank you, friends. And
like this.
Yep. And thank you. And I hear your prayers. And it was just like,
I'm always using my hands.
Yeah, you looked vulnerable and I didn't like that. That's the one I just like, oh God, I just hope she keeps, continuing and getting stronger, and you have. And
Yep.
And, I should say you made a complete recovery.
Yes.
I mean, there is no brain damage, relatively. No.
Right.
No,
Right.
You've made a complete recovery. You have no effects.
Yeah, by March 31, I had a follow-up appointment, and that follow-up said that I could resume all activities
Yay.
and start having fun.
Yes.
But that's when COVID set in, and coronavirus
course.
pandemic started.
Of course.
And so people, I know we all are struggling through this pandemic, but I was very thankful to actually have the stay-home orders at that point when I reflect back on it now, because I was then made to sit still, stay home. I had to recuperate and let my brain heal.
Yes.
I feel like if maybe I had resumed all activities and started running around
Would've been
again like
too
I
much.
used to,
Yeah.
it might have been too much.
Yeah.
And who knows what have happened, but
Yeah.
so
No,
I am
but-
thankful for that rest.
I am so thankful for you, Shawn. I'm so glad you made a complete recovery, and I love you. And
Thank you.
I know that must have been
And I love
so
you.
scary. Ugh.
It is.
But I want us to get back out there and dance.
Yes.
Yes. Hopefully. When's
Soon.
that going to happen? Spring, summer, I don't know.
Who knows?
Well, I appreciate you sharing your story. It's a powerful story, and I feel like you're going to help a lot of people with this experience. I know that had to have been horrifying and scary, and I mean, I can't even put it into words. I mean, I don't know. I've never experienced anything close to that, but I appreciate you sharing your story.
Yes. Thank you for letting me share it.
All right. Well, I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you learned something from this story, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening.
We're so glad you're here. We had so much fun, didn't we, Shawn?
Yes, I totally hope, everybody, that you enjoyed our episode. So please subscribe to our website at juicypearpodcast.com.
Yes. See you there.